everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Sunday, April the 30th. One of two stakes races carded on the turf at Santa Anita. Race number 8 is the Grade 3 Wilshire. Fillies and mares going a mile on the turf. Let's take a look at this field. $100,000 is the purse. Please scan or click the QR code for Race of the Day access on mobile, which includes free formulator past performances. Morning line favorite on the outside. That's the 7, Quattro L. She's won 2 graded stakes races in a row going a mile, Mike, and she seems to be in very good form for Jeff Mullins.
Yeah, good form for sure right now, Dan. I like each of her last 2 races. Defeated, several of the same horses that she's going to be facing here. And she is the morning line favorite this time. She hasn't taken a ton of money yet, Dan. Maybe she'll get a little bit of respect here.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector and let's see where the 7 Quattro L is in the early portion of this race. Timeform US believes she'll be near the back of the pack, but note the LP designation over her number 7 Chicklet. That indicates that she has the fastest late pace figure from Timeform US. Up front, the 2 very scary. I expect her to be on the lead. She didn't make the lead last time out in the Royal Heroine. She ran an okay third, but I think she gets to the top as she did 2 and 3 starts back, and it worked out pretty well for her.
Yeah, that was a fast pace last time, so she didn't really have a chance to make the lead there. She just did a lot of chasing. All in all, not a bad performance with the big move up in class.
Macadamia is a Group 1 winner in her native Brazil, and she proved to be a tough nut to crack last time out. She only was beaten a half length by Quattro L in the Buena Vista, her first graded stakes race since shipping to North America. She looked good 2 starts back, going a mile and an eighth, Mike. I don't think a mile is too sharp for her. I know they tried her in some longer distance races, but I think this is going to be fine for her, and I think a good pace-tracking, ground-saving pocket trip is possible from the rail draw.
I agree. She's run well. I think she's run well in all 6 of her starts since she's gotten over here for Phil D'Amato. And she showed last time that, she can play at this level, Dan. They were moving her up in class a little bit there. I thought, personally that she got a really good trip in that race. Everything worked out for her in the stretch. She came clear. She got to a short lead there past the 8th pole, and she was only second best, but she ran fine.
Very Scary was claimed for only $20,000 back in September of 2022. She's improved by leaps and bounds in her last few races, winning a first-level allowance in an off-turf race in gate-to-wire fashion, and then running a pretty close third in the Royal Heroine, despite being close to the fast pace that Mike alluded to. I guess there's a chance she can get to the front, and if they leave her alone and she backs down the fractions, she can sprint home at a price.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a tough spot for her. There are some, she's facing some pretty good fillies in this race, but she's really improved in her recent starts, and making an early lead in this race could go a long way for her, I think, because I do think her Royal Heroine's a little bit underrated, Dan. That was a really fast pace that she was chasing in there, and she was still hanging in there at the end.
The number 3, Rhea Moon, must deal with a 4-month layoff and the fact that she's going to be facing older horses, but she showed a lot of quality as a 3-year-old for D'Amato, winning the Autumn Miss going a mile at Santa Anita, and then taking this race, the American Oaks last time out. This is a Grade 1, and she stretched all the way out to a mile and a quarter. The trip worked out inside out, but I like the way she finished this race off against some pretty good horses.
Yeah, she does put in another good finish here. The mile and a quarter didn't seem like it affected it at all. I don't know that I would say that she improved with the longer distance, Dan, but she put in another good finish here to get the job done. It was another step in the right direction. Her prior 2 starts going this distance, the mile, really strong finishes in those races. I mean, I think this filly's pretty good.
8th place finisher of the race we just saw came back to win the Astra with an 89 buyer, then was 3rd in the Grade 3 Santa Ana with an 86. This filly runs well fresh. She will be running late. The number 4, Thunder Run, they're asking a lot. This is only start number 2, but she kicked off her career the right way, albeit against $50,000 maiden claimers going 6 furlongs. Thunder Run got some pace to run at in this race. She didn't have the greatest trip in the world, though, Mike. She showed some moxie to win, but this is just a completely different situation from a class standpoint.
Yeah, it didn't break that well from the gate in this race. I guess that's not that uncommon for a first-time starter. After that, I thought the trip was fine, Dan. It says, the short comment says block turn. When I watched the replay, I didn't see that. I thought she got a clear trip on the outside, and she managed to close that field down, but looks like it's way too tough for her.
Closing remarks, the number 5 seems more consistent than brilliant. She's hit the board in her last 4 starts. Maybe she just found the right field last time out. In the Royal Heroine, where she went off favored, I thought she got a very nice trip and ride from Joe Bravo, who made a 3-wide bid at just the right time to sort of hem in the horse directly to her inside, who's going to have to take up just a little bit. By the time she gets to the outside and re-rallies, closing remarks is gone. Still, it was a career best 92 buyer speed figure for a horse that has some tactical speed.
She ran well in there. She did get a good trip in that race. That was that fast-paced race we were talking about that very scary was also when this filly just sat off it, got a clean run into it, and proved to be much the best at the end. But it was a step in the right direction. Listen, that was a great spot to have her, even though she was, relatively strongly favored, because 2 back against Quattrell and Macadamia, she did not get a good trip in that race, and it really cost her.
What is the chances that the 6 Canoodling is the front runner and tries to take the racetrack away from the 2 very scary in the early part of this race? Her most recent start was her first race of a lengthy layoff. It was an off-the-turf race going 6.5 furlongs. She showed brief speed and she tired, and she probably just gained a lot of needed fitness from that race. In her turf route, including this race last year, she was on the lead. In fact, she went gate to wire in last year's Wilshire.
Yeah, I feel like the plan here probably is to go forward in this race and just see if she can make the lead. I think it might be a little bit more difficult this time with that speed to her inside. When she won this race last year, it was maybe the best performance of her career, but that pace just wasn't fast. And she had an easy time making the lead. She never took any pressure in that race and just, kicked clear with something left in the stretch. I don't think this race will be run like that this year. I think that makes it harder for her.
But she really did show some ability when being switched to turf last year. She ran a good 4th in the Grade 1 Gamely, going 1 1/8, a little bit too far for her in her final start of the year. And she was in against Going Global, who was one of the better filly and mare turf horses in Southern California last year. Quattrell completes the field. She's the morning line favorite. She's arguably the horse to beat. She's seeking her 3rd straight win. Here's her score in the Buena Vista. She has just found her niche as a turf miler. Quattrell likes to be held up early. She likes to come with 1 strong late run, and she's been getting up in time, and she beat a couple of these in this race.
Yeah, she ran well in here. The trip was a good one. That's Macadamia down towards the inside, who made the lead ahead of her, Dan, when she got through on the inside. So I don't know. I just thought at the end of the day, Quattrell won that race fair and square over a couple of these horses. She did the same 2 starts back in the Megahertz. That was a step in the right direction. She got a good trip that day, but she did what she had to do to win. I just feel like in a lot of ways, she's the horse to beat here.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for our Sunday race of the day. I think it's a pretty competitive race, Mike. I went with closing remarks. She's very consistent. She has tactical speed. I think she's going to drift up a little bit off her 3-1 morning line. She's going to have to if I'm going to play her.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they bet it, actually, because certainly Quattrell could be the favorite in here, but I don't think I'd be that surprised if the 3 Rhea Moon, that's my top pick. I don't think I'd be surprised if she took a lot of money in this race. I kind of like her as the new face, Dan. I really liked her turf form last year. She hasn't been running in these races that some of these fillies have been running in earlier this year, and I think there's forward to go here. This filly looks good to me.
Mike's going 3-7-5-1. I respect the 3. I have her in second. I'll go 5-3-6-7. It's a fun race, our Sunday race of the day, a competitive edition of the Grade 3 Wilshire. Best of luck.